I'm going to press the button. It happened. We're live. Okay, let me just grab... How exciting! Let me grab the link to this. Okay. You should be. Raz, can you verify? Can you hear your voice, Raz?
Are you looking to work?
Actually, let me just pull the stream back up to make sure. Okay. Okay, let me just make sure. Waiting. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I am Wisewoman.
Alright, 1 second. Should be able to solve this. Hey there. Just bear with us while we get this working. Which one are you? Okay. Should be this one. Application. Can you guys check now? It seems to be responding to your voices.
Testing, testing. Can you hear our voices?
And then there'll be a slight delay.
Yeah!
Okay.
Oh god, you puked. You puked so hard.
You got excited.
Okay, so as long as I mute the stream, so I don't hear us repeat ourselves, we should be good.
Yeah, we can hear you on the stream now.
Alright, perfect. And looks like we're starting exactly on time. Alright, well, while we give everybody a second to kind of file their way in, I will just do some quick introductions. So, my name is Kyria. I'm the current Lordbound project lead. Been working on the project since about 2020, and in addition to doing lead stuff, I also do 3D modeling and started the project as a tech artist, originally doing like rigging and skinning of models, but now I do a little bit of everything. So, yeah. With me here also is Neshkor, our previous project lead, if you want to do a quick intro for yourself.
Hi! So I'm Neshkor, or Nesh, and I started this project in 2014, and we had a wonderful team, and yeah, eventually I had to call it quits, and Kiri here took over the mantle. I used to primarily focus on the open world and the dungeons, together with Rockmon. I could name everyone, but that might take too long, so I'll skip that for now. But yeah, I'll be mostly here to talk about the olden days and tell you guys about what we've been working on.
Then also joining us here is Raz, my co-leader and our lead quest designer at the moment. Raz, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello. I am Raz. As Kyria said, currently I have taken over for quest designer. That is to say, I am standing on the shoulder of many giants, and really making sure everything is good, product's good. You guys have a lot of fun with the quests. Make sure they're all working.
He undersells the amount of work he does on this, because without him, we would probably never be able to finish another quest again. Alright, so we have a kind of general outline for what we're going to show off in this stream, but if anyone has any questions, or if there's something specific you want us to talk about, or anything like that, feel free to just kind of interrupt us, we're all pretty new at this sort of streaming our mod progress stuff, so like I said, anything you guys want to see or talk about, just let us know. So, first of all, I have a little starter character I made for this, using some of our, not super fancy, but slightly unique armor. So, because this mod is designed for around level 15-ish, I've just made a quick character, leveled them up to about that level, and then we're going to start the mod kind of as if I were a new player jumping in here. So first thing we're going to be doing is going through this as if we were doing the Orcish intro. So yeah, without further ado, we'll just kind of go into here. So this is currently the Skyrim world space. We're at Morkazgar, which is, as you probably noticed, an Orcish settlement. This is one of 2 access points for the mod, so this directs you to the Orcish starting zone, whereas the other alternative is up over here, and that's the Imperial start. We also have a bit of a breadcrumb coming from Whiterun, where a Khajiit will interact with you and let you know the mod exists, but at the moment we can just kind of walk in here and find it ourselves as well. Alright,
Every orc learns the heavy labor of mine.
so we're just
I'll
going
spend
to
years in the cave.
try and
The
find
mines
this
are hard,
entrance. Okay,
but
never mind, it
Malachite
wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
rise to the challenge.
So this is the passage. Up in here we're going to have a short scene from some of our NPCs. I think I forgot to pull the latest before I did this, in addition to all the other tech setup I was doing. So the voices are going to be straight terrible. For the most part, we don't have complete voice acting in the mod, so a lot of the voices are placeholders created by the quest designers that were implementing them at the time. I'm just going to apologize in advance for Arky's voice.
Come forth, child of the path.
As you can
You
see,
find yourself
it's
on the trail to greater glory.
not the most amazing.
Before you lies the holy path, one caked in ash and blood.
They will be replaced by the time the mod is
Absolutely.
finished.
We
Just so we're clear.
we should have gone the Beyond Skyrim route and AI'd some orcs in here, but so just as a little background, we've played through these quests so many times that Arky, the quest designer who recruited a lot of these, has kind of become like what my brain thinks of as the default orc voice at this point. So we have a few different
Passage to
options
Druadach
here.
lies ahead.
He does a
You are
fantastic and
for it has become
convincing
more dangerous
female
than rumors may
orc.
claim.
Absolutely, one of the best I've heard. So he's gonna basically tell us we have a spider problem in this tunnel. This is the tunnel that leads to the Druadach Valley. This is the one the orcs obviously have been using as they've been traversing back and forth. And so he's going
We're
to
dealing with a
effectively
small
ask us to
infestation.
deal with
The
a
second
spider
one, that
problem.
is. If you can't send spiders, that's
So yeah,
I heard
we'll
the
just kind
Imperial
of
Legion are solid
hop
at
through some of
passages
this
of their own.
dialogue so you don't have to
Maybe
listen
try
to
the
the
outskirts
terrible voice
there.
acting too much.
Arky did a great job. Don't
He's
add it.
he's amazing. Arky, you're fantastic if you're here. So here we'll have a few different options as well. We can kind of ask him like, hey, what's up? What's going through here? What am I even doing here, basically? And including kind of antagonizing him about, hey, shouldn't you be able to kill some spiders, buddy? But we'll just go ahead and move along. So I'm basically going to say, look, I'm a cool
Assistant
orc.
conduit.
I'm just going to go on through.
If you'll make it through, you'll find a small orcish camp. Be sure to talk to Trailkeeper Cork. Oh, and do give him my regards. It's been a while.
So now this fellow will come and unlock the gate for us and the fellow travelers that are going to be coming through here. And a lot of their lines are additionally not voiced entirely, just, again, the voice acting is not complete for the mod. So I'm going to be harassed by a couple of skeevers. Again, so,
quick
oh, sorry, go
response.
ahead.
Yes, Disciple Mora remarking on loving the banner. The banner is one of our oldest assets. I love them greatly myself. They were made by Nikki Blom together with a whole bunch of other banners. It was back on the hut
Oh,
right
I see.
there.
Yep.
This particular one, so this is the banner of. Can I say who it belongs to?
Yeah, go for it.
It's the banner of Garshakur, and Garshakur relates to a three-eyed troll that relates to their philosophy, their mythology, and so there it is. And you'll be seeing this a lot throughout the mod, as Garshakur likes to mark it likes to mark its territory.
I promise they don't pee on things. They're very well behaved. So we're going to move on ahead. Let's see. Going through here, you'll notice some of these snow assets are a little extra shiny. These just got kind of a weird conversion when we converted the entire mod from Legacy Old Skyrim, where it was started, to SSE. So it's not a high priority, but we'll definitely have these fixed to look like actual snow and not decorative plastic snow before the launch. And now I hope I won't embarrass myself by dying to skeevers on stream, because these skeevers I think level with me. No, we're good. No skeever death.
Was one of those skeevers a different type? Oh my god!
What a unique skeever we have. We'll take him with us.
So, as part of trying to make Lordbound feel a little bit different from base Skyrim and not just being a new environment to do the exact same thing in, we've here and there spruced up some existing enemy types to give a slightly different feel here and there.
And then as we see here, speaking of unique enemy types, we do see a lot of recurring Skyrim enemies, especially in these dungeons that are especially close to the border. Just because this is an area that is really adjacent to both Skyrim and Highreach. So we've implemented things that you would typically find in both, again, Skyrim and Highreach. At the moment, that's kind of seeing what I call a soft rework, just to make some things that we have a little bit more interesting, and a little bit more Highreach flavored. I'd say the majority of the areas we'll take a look at during this stream will definitely be a bit more on the Skyrim side. I should probably not have long conversations to the sound of spiders squishing, but you know, what you gonna do?
For people concerned about arachnophobia, there are, as far as I'm aware, there is a spiderless way into the valley.
Yes, absolutely. The Imperial route is actually fully spiderless, but also if you're using any kind of arachnophobia mods or anything like that, you'll see they'll work just fine, so you can have spiders to bears and so on.
Actually, I see in chat here, Raisin Hill actually asks, he's curious why, they're curious why all the different ways to enter the mod. Nesh, got answers for us?
Yes, so this kind of started back in the old days, where we're like, well, if you are fanatically against the Empire and you're helping out the Sons of Skyrim, shoot, wait, is that the Sons of Skyrim? Well, it doesn't matter. Stormcloaks, yes. In the game files, they're called the Sons of Skyrim. That's the old Bethesda work in progress name. If you are fiercely against the Imperials and you're for the Stormcloaks, then we felt it'd be weird that you'd be parlaying with the Imperials to get into the valley. Likewise, if you hate orcs and you just want to go in here and bash some orc heads, then you shouldn't have to deal with orcs to get in. So we ultimately decided if you have preconceived notions, then you can enter through either of those. The Imperials are also kind of a failsafe if you don't want to ally yourself with the Orcish strongholds, because of course otherwise they don't let you in. Then you can just take the easy way in.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, because at the beginning of this we came through Morkazgr, the vanilla Orcish stronghold, that does require you to be a bloodkin. So this character was pre-set up to do that. He's an orc. You would, be able to tell if I didn't have a hat on. So this is our orc. Some NPCs you'll see coming up will also acknowledge that. But so for the more orc-aligned characters, we figured Bloodkin was a pretty minimal requirement. And the requirement there is just to get in the actual stronghold. If you find some other way you happen to get in through the stronghold through normal gameplay, you wouldn't be stopped here either. But additionally, for like Nesh was saying, for the Imperials, there's effectively no requirement. They will acknowledge you if you are an Imperial soldier in Skyrim, but you can also join them as basically a mercenary working alongside them. This is occurring to me that I think this character is set up for two-handed, and that's a one-handed mace. Let's try this.
That's not what's going on. Someone's pointed out that the armor looks different. Yes. So, if I'm not mistaken, these effects, this armor has a bunch of effects that were made by Aslan, and they relate to kind of our mage armor concept. So, because magic being quite a big deal in Lordbound, we want to have some play on that as well. And so, this armor set, I'm a bit foggy on the details, but this one specifically, I think, discharges like damage back to enemies. It has like a mirroring effect on it, whereas others might allow you to sacrifice mana instead of health. So if you have like a very low constitution wizard build, you won't just be insta-killed. Instead, you can use your massive mana reserves for some survivability. THC Grey Wolf close to release, kind of, sort of, in terms of game dev length, yes. In terms of real time, still a few months away.
Yeah, so speaking of the armor set, this is the Dwarven Oxidized armor, so it's basically a kind of a retexture of the vanilla Dwarven set. I wanted to use something that I think personally is very cool looking, and like Nesh said, has some neato effects going on. This is kind of a reskin, like I said, of the vanilla that is a little bit relevant to a particular dungeon that we have, so that kind of explains the look of it a bit more. I kind of chose it just mostly because I think it's really cool looking.
When it was originally made, it was one of our crew who was still working to get into the games industry. They were working with all sorts of like material pipelines, and they're like, oh yeah, I can probably slap an oxidized texture onto that pretty darn easily using this pipeline I made. And I'm like, on a dare, like, yeah, fucking show me. And he did. And we're like, okay, can we actually use this? This is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we already had the story lined up, so yeah.
Alright, we are now spider free.
Replying again to THC Grey Wolf is going to be Xbox and PC. I know it's going to be PC. Kyria, what's the current plan with Xbox?
At the moment,
I'm not in the loop.
it's pretty unlikely for Xbox at the moment, mostly because of file size limits. But if there's any conceivable way we can achieve that, we would love to. We're just going to initially target PC because of the easier solutions for that. This gives us a little bit
Xbox
of
only allows
background here.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Xbox has a limit of a certain amount of megabytes. I think it ranges into the hundreds of megabytes, but just the voice acting alone will consume the entire allotted space.
Yeah, I think it's a total of 5 gigs, but again, we have a lot of custom assets, and then once we start adding the custom voice acting, we'll be seeing a lot more of that.
Eleonora, thank you so much for that. This was built by Rockmod, one of our oldest team members, and nearly every interior space had something to do with him, or rather, he had something to do with it. Guy is a freaking wizard when it comes to modular kits, and couldn't be happier with what he's built. For Disciple of Mora, potentially needing a patch for the Imperial route as it relates to a possible High Rock border in Beyond Skyrim. Maybe. Should be relatively easy though. Not too concerned. Oh, we actually have Rockmod in chat.
Hey, it's
So yeah,
the
every
guy.
time you see a new interior and you like it, just cheer Rockmod on. Every time you don't like it, just be nice. I worked hard on this.
Every time you don't like it, just blame a quest designer, because they don't have the right skills for it, so then we can be like, yeah, quest designer dungeon.
No.
No.
Okay, not the way. This dungeon actually has a few little branching paths that I'm probably not fully exploring, mostly because I've done this a handful of times, so it's kind of a routine to just sort of go through here and be like, yep, okay, we're killing the spiders again. Just don't want to give the impression it's ultra linear. Give me a bit. Okay, once we start actually getting into, I think it's this next area coming up. I sometimes accidentally sequence break it, but we do have an alternate kind of function for this area. So I believe it's intended to be via quest progress, but once you've come through here and cleared everything out, despiderified the area, here we go, oh, I think our boss just fell through the floor. Super. He is somewhere.
Yeah, I think I saw them get yeeted to the floor
Yep.
just about to go
I
through, but
think
the
so
animation
too.
object is too low to the ground.
Yeah. We'll give
Womp
that a
womp.
check. Anyway, work in progress mod.
Question asked if Lordbound will allow for the use of custom followers or is it a solo adventure. As far as I'm aware, you can't take followers with you, and I don't see why custom followers should not work, other than any custom triggers that, you know, oh, this only happens in Riften. Well, we don't take place in Riften.
Yeah, as far as I know, Dremby has tested it pretty thoroughly, at least our dungeons, bringing Lydia through the game, and hasn't had any problems, so it should be just fine. Alright, so I think like I said, our boss fell through the floor, so we'll need to take a look at that. But we also have a debug lever. You know, they're arachnophobes, but we've gotten rid of them anyway. So I'm just going to click this so we can see the second state of this area. So once this has been cleared out and everything kind of starts cleaning up, this is the secondary view you would typically have, like as in if I've come through here after cleaning this up in the future. So we just have a little bit more going on in terms of NPCs. It's been a little bit more habitable. You can see that Garshakr and the orcs have brought their guards back in here and despiderified and dewebbed some of these areas to just kind of make it a little bit more homey.
Something someone will probably notice as curious playing through this, most Orcish guards will be wearing Orcish armor, which might be weird because she's only level 15. Couldn't you just kill one of those guards and get really cool armor early in the game? No, you can't. We have 3 sets of Orcish armor. We have the base set, and then we have a steel variant and a rusted variant. And the rusted variant is roughly equal to iron, and the steel version is roughly equal to steel armor. And so the guards will spawn with a level equivalent of the corresponding armor, so that orcs will always look like orcs, but you can't break the game and get really good armor early on by being a nasty cheat.
Because that would just be terrible. So this is probably the first view that most players will see when they first come in from the tunnel. We actually need to regenerate some of these lods, which is later in the project task, but you can kind of get the gist of what we're looking at. So this is the first little orcish town you'll come into, and this is called Garshak's Vigil. So we'll see a little scene here as we come in between the orcs that are camped here and Mage Knight Roger, having a little conversation basically about the tensions between the mages at Highreach and the orcs. These have generally been kicked off, like you may have seen in some of our promotional materials, due to the Imperials arriving in the valley, which is kind of complicated an already tenuous situation. Alright, and this is Trailkeeper Cork. He's probably, again, the first NPC you'll have a major interaction with when you're coming through on the Orcish side. If you notice, he actually acknowledges me as being an Orcish bloodkin, which is very nice of him. He has a lot of dialogue options that will allow us to ask some preliminary questions, you know, about Garshakr. As I open up these conversations, it'll also include some things about Chief Goric, the valley, etc., and then just some general conversation, like, so Trailmaster Mogus said I should report to you, and then since he's asked what I'm doing here, I have a few other options of just answering that directly.
Yeah, I'd say like generally we tried to keep a lot of that RPG flavor in the quest responses. They might not necessarily completely change the outcome, but you can go about these experiences as your player, as your character would.
And again, we've removed or have developer voices for most of these lines, but they will definitely have actual good voice acting at launch.
You may also notice some characters have completely black textures on their skin. That's a known bug. It gets fixed every month or so. Oops.
It's about that time, huh?
Right, time to regenerate the face textures. And here you can see that this dialogue was written by Europeans by the liberal use of use in a neighborhood. So Cork is now introducing us to the idea of a blood token, which is something specific to Garshakur's kind of like trust system. In order to really be accepted into Garshakur, you need the equivalent of a blood token. I think at some point you can also kind of give them a hard time about, like, hey, I'm a bloodkin. That's not fair. And they'll give you a little explanation about why they think it is fair. But here, since we've done the Orcish start, you can pretty much get one of those pretty quickly off the bat through following Cork's questline here. It's a little bit trickier on the Imperial start, but you still have access to that as well. So a player can conceivably complete both the Orc and Imperial questlines up to a certain point of no return, where you'll effectively be asked to choose one side or the other due to their conflicting ideologies. So he's just kind of describing this task that he wants us to do, saying in short that there's a fella here who was supposed to go bring the Wisewoman of Garshakur back to Garshakur, as she's left and is currently working in the woods here. But since he's been ineffective at doing so, he's asking us to take on that responsibility. We can ask a little bit more about that task, so, asking why she last left Garshakur, and that introduces us to a few other ideas of the tensions that are occurring here. And we can also ask a little bit more information about Druadach, the Imperials, kind of so on. This guy is a real info dumper if you really want to know some of that stuff early on. We also try to space this information out on some other NPCs if you don't really want to get super in depth with Mr. Cork. But let me see. So what would I want to choose if I want to move forward? I think I actually started the quest already, so we'll just ask a little bit about Shilash. So, like I said, you can get a little bit more information here about the tensions, about the roles of these individual characters within the mod, and a lot of other information here. So, moving forward, our next quest is to go find Shilash, but we can also talk to some of these other NPCs that were involved in that scene. So, this is Rogier with his blackface bug. We also have Ugrub, who will stop and try and talk to us. This is the fella that, if you were reading the subtitles, was supposed to originally be doing the job that we were given, but he is largely ineffective at most things that he is assigned to do. And he's just going to ask us a few little things about how we got here, what we're doing here, and so on. He's just a silly little guy, so I can offer to have a more in-depth conversation with him, but I think for now we're just going to step away from that. Additionally... oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Just more questions. So, this was already answered in the chat itself, but how is the Imperial Path in terms of quality? It is freaking incredible. It is done, and I love it. Also, are there new followers in Lordbound? We, at least back in my day, I could be mistaken, we did not focus on having new followers, just focusing on other stuff instead. I don't know if that's changed since then.
Yeah, that's still pretty accurate. So most of our NPCs they exist during the context of their quest. So while you do sometimes get temporary followers relevant to the quest that you're undertaking, we don't have any current like full-time companion type followers. Okay, so I just wanted to stop real quick and show off some of these still slightly work in progress walls, but these are part of a custom kit, and it's getting dark out, so of course that makes it a little bit difficult. But these are part of a custom wall kit that we find throughout some of the Orcish holds, and they're pretty nice looking in my opinion. Definitely kind of give the Orcs of Garshikr a more unique flavor than some of the sticks and stones kind of orcs that we see over in Skyrim. Ideally, we wanted them to feel a little bit more established. They have skilled stonemasons working with them, and so really wanted to try and convey that these are the kind of people that take a lot of pride in their craft. So let me just actually wait till daytime, because I feel like I'm doing them quite a disservice.
Yeah, when it came to the Orcish kits, we were very lucky that Elder Scrolls Online came out with like big Orcish updates at some point. We had some crazy luck in some ways that I won't get into right now, but hey. And part of that was basically looking at, okay, how did Orcish Masons in the best timeline or you know, at a time of their supremacy do their stuff, and we've been able to use that as the groundwork for a whole bunch of stuff. In general, I think the writers for ESO have done a great job at making Orcish culture more interesting. I personally I don't play the game, but I love to read about it and like to see what they've done with it.
Yeah, as a player of the game, I think the Orcish content they've had in ESO is some of the best, and probably one of my favorite expansions or expansion-like things. So this beauty up here is Highreach. So this is the home of the Lordbound. As you can see, we have a pretty close relationship with Garshek's Vigil. So I'd say it's pretty important that they have tried to maintain some kind of peace. At the moment, when we walk in, we see they're under attack by some Forsworn, with fantastic voice acting as always. So we'll let this scene play out, and then we'll be approached by, actually we'll go ahead and help them out with this one.
Think you can take me?
I still got one fella over here.
Skyrim physics ho.
Yes, as always. So now we have the opportunity of talking with this fella, Mage Knight Baradar, about what we just saw there. He'll introduce us to the concept of the Forsworn that live in this valley, of which we have a handful of different factions. The Ravenhearts, these here, are probably the most difficult, for Highreach in particular. So they have some pretty strong opinions on them as characters. But we'll go ahead and start moving on from now and take a look at the capital of the Lordbound, or rather the home of Lordbound and the capital of the, what would you call it, like Highreach area?
Highreach Hold.
Highreach Hold, thank you.
Yes. Also, I need to actually this is the Forsworn are a tribe of Reachmen, and the Ravenhearts
Right.
are also a
Yes,
tribe of
thank you.
Reachmen. So they are not a form of Forsworn, actually complete.
Thank you very much.
So some people, if I did not make that correction, will be going after us. So yeah, gotta.
As we get here, we also have a small scene between the gate guard here and this Breton refugee. He's trying to effectively get asylum at Highreach, like many other refugees have. Basically concerns of there being attacks and something else out there in the wilderness that they're very concerned on.
Ah, I wish. Please state the purpose of your visit. You're seeking refuge, and I'm afraid we've no more room to
So
spare.
after that, I will be attacked by a wolf. Okay.
What the?
Those wolves have killed Nesh so many times when we're just trying to test out a feature.
Yeah, those wolves are
You're back, huh?
a real hazard to help.
Well, what are you here for?
So typically, if I hadn't been harassed by a wolf, this fellow would be asking, hey, why are you trying to get into Highreach? We're not just letting anyone in. At which point, you have a few different options. He's a lot more lenient towards us than he is towards the refugee that was trying to get in ahead of us.
By all means,
But
you're
I will
welcome to
give him an
wander the
answer
settlement,
that
as
he
long
will
as you
like,
stay out of trouble.
and we can move on
Everyone
in.
checks out. Open the gate.
It's always fun to hear just ancient Archie lines.
I know. So this horse is, he's hanging out here. But, so Highreach has been kind of my baby, being responsible for most of the redesign here. So I am hugely biased, but I think Highreach is probably one of the most gorgeous things in the mod.
Okay, so before you continue, like this is perfect because I made the original Highreach, which was criticized to hell and back, remade, criticized to hell and back, and then replaced with this version over the course of the entire mod. So we've got this is your baby, and I can if there's anything I don't like, I can just go like, old one was better. So
Yep, exactly. V1 was
we'll
better.
bounce it out. Yeah, everyone else was wrong. I did it right.
Alright, so, as you might have just seen, we have a little, scene between a couple of the NPCs here when you first walk in. The baker here being quite displeased by the blacksmith working over here, concerned that the, smoke from the forge will be affecting the quality of her goods. These NPCs have recently actually been all fleshed out, given their own personality and dialogue by Jill, one of our newish members, and I'm a huge fan of them. They all have a lot of very interesting personality. You can also see that she happens to sell a few little custom goods, so we wanted to incorporate a little bit of culture into the bakery. So we have a croissant that I am maybe biased towards, but I modeled myself, and these frosted rolls as well. So going in to Highreach, I don't doubt that we'll see more changes to the overall layout of Highreach before this goes live, or at least the details surrounding it. But as we walk in, we have the keep over here, with this gorgeous hot spring in front of it. So if I remember correctly, and Nesh, please feel free to correct me, one of the main reasons that Highreach is the way it is, and this location was chosen for, is because it is directly over a hot spring.
Yes, it was originally meant to be a watchtower to protect a very important trade route in the histories, and then on top of that, yeah, it provided a hot water source, which would be good in case of sieges and just the comfort of its soldiers.
You have dragons on the other side of the mountains. Hope we don't bring those
So
to
just
that
kind
as
of
well.
taking a meander through here. This is tentatively what we call the military district, where the guard barracks are. You can see a small training area and just a little bit of areas where they might enhance their armor or do a little bit of outside work. We also have a notice board, which right now is
Something
kind of a placeholder that I just slapped in there. But we do have some little radiant quests that are picked up from boards like this. So coming back around, can find different ways through the town.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we don't use the radiant system in the traditional sense. We don't have, please collect my random ring from this random dungeon, but not every quest is as intensive, so that there's always a few things to do here and there, and that's where the boards come in very handy.
Yeah, exactly. For those like kind of smaller quests that are a little bit less story involved, I would say, but definitely still exciting. So this is the market. This place has seen a lot of changes in the past few months alone, and might still see some more, but overall, this would be probably the hub of NPC and kind of story activity, I would tentatively say, for the residents of Highreach. They all have their own custom schedules, so you'll see that since it's pretty early in the morning still, some of them are still filtering in. Over here, we have a few shops, as well as over here, a few more shops along the wall here, and some residences. So this is our resident, what would you call it, like farm goods salesperson. The jeweler is over here. One of our to-do list items is have her basically pull her stock when she's not manning her counter, so that it doesn't look like quite such a delicious thievery target. Moving on, we have the hunter meat butcher vendor. And again, most of these have custom conversations you can have with them just to sort of get an idea of who they are as people. I probably picked one of the weirdest ones to go through.
What do you mean? The death of things is very poetic.
And depending on who the NPC is, you'll see a few different other options. There's others who are also living currently in their homes, or in the inn, and so on. I don't want to spend too much time going through all the individual interiors and so on, but you can also see we have another market stand over here for the bookseller who has a little note that implies that, hey, if I'm not at home, if I'm not manning my stand, I'm probably at home and you can find me over here.
You also find a lot of the history of the world in some of these books. We did a lot of work to really include this region, its people, and their history into the whole of the Elder Scrolls. And so books are a wonderful way to do that. Typically, we don't write a book unless there's actually something important that we want to relay to you, or something that helps you understand why things are the way they are. If you want to go real hashtag deep lore.
Yeah,
With one
absolutely.
exception, actually, sorry. We have kids' books. We have some kids' books about the threats of the world, which are great. I love them.
Alright, over here we have what I affectionately refer to as the Church District, probably for obvious reasons. So this is a Temple of Talos that has a decent amount of lore behind it that I'll let Nesh talk about a little bit more, but you'll notice that it's pretty quiet over here. This is an area that's largely populated by refugees from the Gardale massacre. Right now, they just happen to not exist as NPCs currently placed in town. So mostly you just kind of get to see their, the fact that they exist in environmental storytelling.
The refugees are on holiday. You have to respect that they also need time to relax.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's very important.
Temple of Talos, I mean, how far back do you want to go? So a big thing with Highreach is the fact that we are on the border with Highrock, which means, is it Nord, is it Breton in nature? I don't know, yes and no, maybe both. And one of the things we have is that culturally it identifies a lot with Breton values and Breton terminology, but at the same time they do have a lot of marriages to... Oh, that's the lodge, you should not be able to see that.
Avert your eyes.
Avert your eyes. Nobody saw that. And they also have a lot of marriages with members of Nord families, and therefore an influx of Nord traditions. And so we have this chapel to Talos in this rather Nord castle. Sorry, something stuck in my throat. In this rather Nord castle to kind of relay that back. And gee, wouldn't there be a war going on about Talos and the legality of their worship in another part of the world? That won't matter.
Nah, that'll never come up again, I'm sure. So, strolling on in here, this is the keep, Highreach Keep itself. This is effectively the seat of the Lordbound and the lordship itself, so up ahead here we'll see the ruler of Highreach himself in all of his Jarl posing glory.
From the same that cloth is rock fur.
And they'll be having a little scene here, kind
Oh,
of talking
I nearly
about,
forgot. We've received a
actually
message
that
from beyond the
exact
border
topic we were just
for a
talking about,
request of service.
what's going on over
A
in
man named
Skyrim
Oliver
right now.
Stormcloak requests our aid in their rebellion against the Empire.
So this is where,
The Empire has already
Ulrich,
sent
who
critics to the
is
valley,
the
provoking them
Nord
in Skyrim
steward
and
of,
provoking them here.
Lord Halen there,
I do not know if Stormcloak
he's
and
gotten
Aelin
message
cared to know
from
until the valley was
Skyrim
secure.
trying to basically get these guys on
Not
board
forgotten
to
the
help
troubles
out
of
in the
their
war,
ancestors.
and
The wounds of Bender Mock run deep.
Halen will pretty gently let them
All I
down.
did is silence till my counselors return to the fold. In the meantime, ensure that our guests have all they need. Let's not further their suffering.
You're too kind, my lord.
We've much work to do, Ulrich. Let's be off. My lord.
So from here we can
Keen-eyed.
go ahead.
Sorry, keen-eyed viewers will have noticed a reference to the Elder Scrolls Shadow Key. Which one? I'll leave that to you.
So from here we can also start the Lordbound main quest. So all of our main quests are pretty well intertwined. So you'll probably be completing the Lordbound main quest whether you side with the orcs or side with the Imperials. Both of those have a breadcrumb that will lead you here, but you can also just
A new
interact
arrival to
with
the
Lord
halls of
Halen
Highreach.
himself and kind of
Not a
see like,
refugee, but
hey bud,
someone
is there
more
anything I can do
exotic.
to further the cause of
Pray tell,
Highreach? You
who do I
guys
have
seem
the
pretty
pleasure
cool.
of meeting? A wanderer like you must bear an interesting name.
He's going to think my name is very interesting because this character is just orc.
How casual. The presence of a lord must mean little to you. No matter.
Forget to name your
it's good to
character.
have a conversation without no custom formalities. The facade becomes tiring. You're new to the valley, aren't you?
Yeah, these lands
I
are
was
very
right
new to
then.
me.
Your eyes dart with a certain curiosity.
In fact, it's a new lands mod.
Only an orc from abroad would dare roam the land surrounding Highreach. These are bad time for your people. Regardless,
people?
I welcome
Wow.
you to my home in the Valley of Druadach. May your
As you
sweet
can
love
note,
lure you
he
and discover
does acknowledge the fact that I'm an orc coming here, and the plight of the orcs in the valley, he would be acutely aware of.
Despite our
So then I can
isolation,
just ask
we've
him a
always
few
had
other
ties
questions
between
that
ages and
at the
Highreach.
moment I'm not
All
too
who
interested
respect my
in.
people are welcome to revel in our wisdom. A great deal of bloodshed.
So I
You're right, we have a
believe
war.
one of these
And
should
now,
lead to me being
needless
able
to say,
to
we are
offer
surrounded by conflict.
my services,
My people
in fact.
suffer more with each passing. The
So I'm
able-bodied
going
are
to go
always a
ahead
welcome
and do
sight,
that so I
especially in
can
times like
start
these.
the beginning
If
of
you
the
truly wish to
Lordbound
aid
questline
Highreach,
here.
Speak to Captain Ulrich. He should be stationed outside, close to our chapel.
So he's basically said, we have a problem, if you're looking for work or to help, you can talk to Captain Ulrich. If I hadn't just watched that scene, Ulrich would be outside somewhere, I believe over in the church district, but because he's kind of still wrapping up his little conversation, he's still waiting here. So I can
Lord
continue
Halen
that
sent you?
conversation right now.
That's great. Absolutely great. I would tell you that things are going well, but they aren't. We've had this influx of refugees,
And so he's going
the
to tell me
refugees I can
basically,
handle,
we've
but
had
the
a lot of
murders,
refugee
don't get me
problems,
started on the murders.
and we've had some murder problems. So I have the option of asking about the murder.
It's hard to understand how they're happening and why.
Kind of get the sense that Ulrich is maybe not the elected to this position due to his wits, but we can in fact talk about the murders. He tells us about a potential, or rather what they suspect to be a serial killer who is burning people alive while they're trapped in their own house. So kind of a locked door mystery gone extreme. So we can ask him
Dude,
about,
you
get
could
a
help
little bit
us
more
out
details
with what needs a
about
lot
that.
of minds.
Do you have any leads or evidence?
Master Linnell
At
can
which
tell you
point
more
he'll
about the
direct
case.
us over
you
to
think you can be of help,
Master
then I
Linnell,
suggest you speak with
who
her.
is
You
one
can
of
find her
the
in the Western
Lordbound,
Gatehouse.
Lordbound
Seemingly
Masters
so.
specifically.
I don't know. If you could help us out, it would ease a lot of minds.
So, quick interruption on my end.
Jerk, no trouble if you could.
Earlier, as we were introduced as Orc, of the great heritage of Orc, this is one of those points where the player can choose if you've done any great deeds in Skyrim. That's the point where you can go, oh, actually, I'm the the Archmage, or I work with the Empire, or some such. And this is one of those opportunities for you to, or to say, I am the Dragonborn. But it's also an opportunity to not be the Dragonborn if your playthrough doesn't want to go that route.
Yeah, I think we also have another one of those coming up, and as you're doing kind of your main introductions to all the major factions, you can really choose which of your achievements to highlight. So, like Nesh said, I'm the Dragonborn, or I'm the Archmage of the Mages Guild, or the Harbinger of the Companions. I think most of the major achievements in Skyrim are covered. So just kind of exploring this. And like I was saying, we have another one of those options also coming up when we do meet with Master Linnell. She is not in here, she is outside, but I do want to just take the option to show off the keep a little bit. This is one of the Lordbound apprentices. He's going to ask us some questions about whether Lord Halen has responded to his proposal or not, obviously taking us for someone other than who we are. And we have a few questions we can ask him kind of about this place, and then what he's doing here and what the other Lordbound are doing here. This is kind of the, what is the official term? Like the Lordbound Hall, where the Lordbound Masters sort of spend their time. And they each have their own little wings dedicated specifically to them. These are kind of a little bit under construction at the moment, so I don't want to go too far into them because it'll give you a terrible impression of them. But I'll just kind of take a little
they're
look
just
around.
too cool. If we showed them all, right, we wouldn't be able to do anything else. You'd just be too impressed.
Exactly. We would have so many questions about that, and it would just be completely overwhelming for the stream.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
And as you
I
can
will say, this is the first time for me seeing a lot of these places since your revamps. So for anyone who didn't get that, I'm not part of the active development team anymore. So this is the first time I'm seeing the complete revamp of my old spaces, and it is really fucking cool. Yeah. There was one cart I didn't like. Everything else is awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to hear it. As you can see when we walk around, we also have NPCs kind of with their little ambient conversations, interacting with each other. I don't want to spoil too much or spend too much time, listening to the small folk talks, so we'll carry on for that, and you'll get to experience those with the full mod.
Let me know when it's time for some questions and answers, because I've noticed a few in the chat. We can go after.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Cool. Ooh, scenic. That is actually going back to Interiors by Rockmod. I believe that table was originally made by him. You've upgraded since, haven't you?
Yeah, I rebuilt this table from scratch.
Oh,
But
that's a shame, because the original was literally a shield in a well.
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. It was a shield stretched over a well, and that formed a table. And everyone, that's a great table! And then Rockmod would snicker because, well, he knew how he made the damn thing. So for a couple of the questions, so someone asked if we have the same voice actor as Captain Adius from Bruma. Maybe over the last 5 to 10 minutes, you've probably only heard the Quest developers voicing their own characters for now. These will be replaced later. It might be that we have the same voice actor already here somewhere in the valley, but oh, what is that map? But not likely in the past 5 minutes. Then we had, will the Highreach main quest be a main quest in the same vein, length, or importance as the Garshcore or Imperial questline? Yes, in fact, it is kind of impossible to finish the mod without participating in the Highreach questline in some way. Regarding your introductions, can you choose like all of your titles? No, you will choose one of your titles, and that is the one that you'll be recognized by, both for scripting complexity and also we have to draw a line somewhere. Lots of people complimenting your work on Highreach, so yay. And I think that's it for now. I'm gonna quickly trawl and I'll get back if I missed anyone's question. Sorry.
All right, fantastic. So we will go meet up with Linnell while Nesh checks through questions.
I don't think there's any more questions. I think we're
Okay.
good.
Perfect.
Can we get out of the castle soon? I wanna go back and see that open world and see what's changed.
We sure can. Let me just pick up this quest
the-
for Linnell here.
Yeah, this is as much an adventure for me as this for the viewers. It has been some time.
All right. So
Has he been?
we're gonna
I
ask her
understand.
about
I'm sorry to ask,
those
but what makes you
that
think you're
quest that
qualified to help us?
Ulrich sent us on to check out about these murders. So here's another opportunity where we'd have to introduce ourselves as various Archmage, Harbinger, etc. Because Mr. Orc hasn't achieved many things in his life yet, he only has a few little basic options. So
He's an
even
adventurer.
a
Just
simple
know that
commoner
this-
can
him is a
have
pressing matter on my hands. And apprehensive.
acceptable
Regards,
introduction that
I was
seems
so
good enough for
wishing to
her.
accept- I need this dagger returned. It cannot
We
fall into the
will
wrong-
be
Isana,
given another
she
little
is one of this-
side quest
I
from
can
her
only imagine that she must feel
to
like a failure,
go
blaming
collect
us
a
for her
dagger
shortcomings.
before we can really start investigating these murders properly. She'll also explain to us why this is important, but we kind of skipped through that for the moment. So let's get back out into the world.
We've had a question if the Orc capital will be visited today. I don't expect us to, but also it is scheduled for a revamp. Why? Why so late in development? Well, the Orcish capital was literally the first thing we made for the mod. We've learned a lot of lessons. It runs quite poorly, so you know. Oops. That's on me. I built that.
We forgive you. Yeah, like you said, Garshikar is currently getting a major revamp, but I think it'll be absolutely worth it. And hopefully the end result will be very impressive, but no, I don't think we're going to show that in today's stream, just because it's a little bit too work in progress at the moment. Alright, so just want to show off our pretty map real quick. So as you can see, we have a handful of custom quest markers, all kinds of things going on here. Here we have Highreach, the central town of Gardale, and then over here on the far west we have Garshikar, and then if we look down here to the south, that's a bit more of a wild kind of unsettled area, where we still have some major quest points going on. So in the meantime, I will start heading south, since we can take a look in the direction of Shelash and her hut. And that'll give us a good chance to explore that southern area, and then probably take a look at another dungeon.
The question was raised if there will be more streams, right? Right?
Yes, I think we have at least one more scheduled before launch. I think that one is, and Cosmo can confirm or deny, but I believe that one is in February. So that'll be pretty close to our planned launch time, and that'll give us an opportunity to show off some of the further points of the mod.
I could be mistaken, but it looks like there's a little bit of an issue with codecs or streaming or something. It's a bit pixelated on the stream.
Ooh, it might just, yeah, be a... Let me double check my connection. Connection is solid at the moment, so...
Okay. Well, then maybe it's an issue on my end.
So, just taking this opportunity to show off some of our gorgeous landscapes. Probably looks a little disjointed without an exact frame of reference for where you're going, but I've made this trip a lot of times, so I'm pretty familiar with it. Over here in the distance, we can see town of Orfel. Oh, cat nudged my hand. We can see the town of Orfel, and something just wants to kill me. Thank you.
Oh, we're not hearing the custom music that we have.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
you've got the music turned down.
I do have the music turned down from when I'm doing
No!
testing. I'm sorry.
When you're testing, the combat music gets very invasive.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's more familiar.
Alright, so let's see, as we go through here, we will be harassed by an additional skeever. But yeah, that's one of the other towns in this mod. That's Orfel. It has its own history and quest lines that will take you to it, so we're not going to focus too much on that today, because there are some other things that I still want to show off before starts getting too far into the stream. So we'll focus on that. As you can probably hear now, we do have a full custom OST for the mod. I'm so sorry that I had that turned off before, but like Nesh brought up, just when you're testing, having to hear the combat music for Eternity is just terrible. So right now we're working our way towards the southeastern side of the landmass. And that is so that we can have a little interaction with the Orcish Wisewoman of Garshikr. So as we can see, this is her little refuge, and we will be very bad guests and let ourselves in. We can see that she doesn't seem to be in her tiny little hut, so we will do as the quest suggests and look around. And she seems to be waiting for us outside, actually, and comments on our bad manners. So we can inform her that we were sent here to look for her, or we have various other options. But let's see. We will continue on with the dialogue. She'll kind of explain now why she's out here and what it is that would basically take her to, or take us to do for her to get her to return like she was requested. So, kind of get a little bit more information on that quest. And she'll send us a quest to go to a particular dungeon. We're going to be, once again, be bad guests, and we're not going to go to the dungeon that she suggests. Rather, I think there are some others that I would personally like to show off that I think we're very proud of. So, now we're going to break out the console, so I can jump us straight there. So you'll see I've just turned... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just before we leave this area, some keen-eyed individuals may have noticed that that was a familiar-looking Orcish hut. This was made by Marcus Liberty, who gave us permission to use it ages ago, and he and just other modders that have made beautiful resources have allowed us to just do so much more. Like in Skyrim, with the existing assets, if you're good at compositions, you can create new beautiful stuff. But it's things like that that really allow you to make something that looks different from the base Skyrim experience. So big thanks to him. Big thanks to every resource modder out there. You guys are freaking amazing, and it's brought me so much joy to play with the assets that you've made for the community to make more gameplay with.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so let's see. My personal preference is going to be to show off Angavar, because that is a heck of a set-piece dungeon, but it's also very long, so I want to show off a slightly shorter one first. Nesh, can you give me the approximate location of the glowing ceiling on the map?
The glowing ceiling is actually not too far from where you are right now. It is to your, well, there it is, yes.
There we go.
It's in walking distance.
Well,
You
you're
could
right.
walk it.
It is within
If we're not
walking
doing the
distance.
long one, we can
Yep.
take the walk.
We can take the scenic route. And really just hope that I don't get totally lost in the mountains and have to start Skyrimming it up the walls, because that's my usual go-to.
I am the world designer. I made this region. If you can't find your way, I done fucked up in front of all these people, and that would break my heart. So, don't get lost.
Okay, no pressure. Got it.
I will point out it's intentional that you can climb your way up here. That is not her wall jumping against intention.
Just put a marker for where I'm going. Oh, over here you can see our lovely placeholder ore. Nesh, do you want to talk about our placeholder ore and kind of some of the steps that we've gone through while working on the
Okay.
environments?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that bullet. So, when working on the mod, I work in the games industry. A lot of us have eventually filtered into that field, and a lot of things we do is find ways to work quicker and faster. And so, instead of wanting to map out like, well, this area is rich in iron ore and this area is rich in copper ore, instead we decided to place placeholders like those. We use a bright, obvious pink to say there's going to be an ore here. We'll decide later which veins go where. So whenever you see bright pink items, that's intentional. That allows us to work faster. We'll get to that eventually.
Okay, I thought I had the right way, but I didn't have the right way. So now we get even more scenic views of trees and mountain.
You're wall climbing. Follow the
I'm
road.
sorry. I play a lot of Skyrim.
Yeah, I know.
Wait,
You're
let's like Skyrim.
Yep, that's how she plays. You just, climb along.
He gives me a lot of grief for just playing like that in basically every game, but I consider it to be a benefit in that I find bugs that get you stuck on things very quickly. Just before the stream started, I managed to get stuck in Mor Khazgir by hopping along the wall. Alright, so we finally found the entrance, and we've got some Spriggans. So we'll try and get rid of them. Because they probably deserve it. Oh no.
So,
I really hope I don't die.
oh,
on stream.
you're dying. So the thing with Spriggan is, at least to my knowledge, or at least back when we worked on the
Oh,
glowing
that's
ceiling, maximum damage,
Yeah.
is that they don't have a lot of lore attached to them. There's a lot of mystery, and so we try to reason more like, what are Spriggan, how do they work? We are not the definitive lore source on that, so everything is kept rather implicit. But yeah, you might learn something about how we consider Spriggan in the upcoming dungeon.
Alright, let's try this again. These Spriggans actually might legitimately be a little bit higher level than me. So that might be why I'm struggling a bit here. This is a character who's basically at the functional minimum for the mod. So we might need to find a better dungeon. Not exactly something I anticipated when starting this. There we go. Please die. Oh my gosh, please. I'm literally begging you.
I may have placed these. Oh no, angry goat!
Oh no! Just what I need. Okay. Nope, no. Oh my gosh. Please. Please, my darling. My sweetest Spriggan darling. Thank you.
Well done.
Nothing happened.
Drink something. Eat something, for Pete's sake.
It's just a normal way of playing Skyrim. Alright. So, as we get in here, you'll probably notice the name of this dungeon is a little bit on the nose. In that the ceiling is very literally glowing. So yeah, Nish, I know you kind of started hinting at it, but did you want to tell us a little bit more about the background of this dungeon and how it has to relate to Spriggans? While I,
No, I actually don't.
Okay,
I
no,
want that for the
that's
player
actually
to be.
totally fine.
Yeah, no, we dreamt up more about what the Spriggans are and what their life cycle looks like, and that's as far as I want to go.
That is completely acceptable. Let's try this again. No. Stay.
What I can say is that I think this is one of Rockmod's earlier dungeons. Again, name dropping Rockmod because every interior he had a hand in, pretty much. And he's the kind of level designer that just takes a concept and just goes nuts with it. and I admire it, and I wish I had that skill.
Yes. Internally, when me and Raz are talking about dungeons, we often call them like the rock mod specials, because they're to me they have like a really certain character that I don't see in a lot of other Skyrim dungeons or I guess kind of just dungeons in general in games.
Games, just games.
Exactly.
I love them.
And they're gorgeous and expansive, and I hope you guys can that it comes through pretty well on stream. Just like these beautiful vistas that we have. I'm going to take a little shortcut here because I'm a Skyrim player.
You wound me.
I know.
You can see it here first, folks. You have the permission of the devs to just skip.
Just
skip it all.
Speed run the
It's
mod.
fine.
Don't listen to them.
But yeah, as we kind of explore these dungeons, hopefully you'll get a pretty good sense for them. One thing that I thought was most remarkable when I started exploring these for myself is like the scale of them is gorgeous, and some of them, like I think our final like set piece dungeon or quest dungeon can clock at like 3 hours for completion. Granted, it's intended to be the culmination of the entire mod, but really, like, I think epic dungeons, while a bit cliche, is a pretty accurate way of describing these. And that isn't to say every dungeon is like a marathon or anything like this. We specifically
No.
chose this one because it is actually pretty short. And once again, you can see these absolutely gorgeous vistas.
Oh, yeah, but we need to revisit this for special edition upgrades because there's a lot of visual effects that aren't playing right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's supposed to be even more magical. So, we're not releasing tomorrow, so we still have time to fix bugs.
Yeah.
Wait, wow, just way to just attack that ghost. I don't know.
I know. I realized,
Yeah,
wait, no, oh
jeez.
gosh, you're nice. I think, yeah, speaking of special edition conversion issues, we saw the same in the now somewhat anachronistically, I don't know, that's probably not the right term, named Brainrot Cave.
Yes.
Brainrot wasn't a thing when we named the cave, I swear.
Yeah. That was like made in 2016 or something, and the name was, it's called brain rot for a reason, and then we got the popularization of the term brain rot in 2023, 2024. It's just like, oh no, should we rename the dungeon?
It
Yep.
just screams memes at you.
Yeah, exactly. Tells you about shonen anime. So that one in particular has a lot of really cool special effects. Unfortunately, it needs a lot of tweaks come special edition, because just a lot of the shaders work differently now. And so what was a cool effect now kind of became like, is this broken? So we've had a lot of fun things that we've had to kind of deal with the tech debt of when it came to moving from LE to SE. For the majority, like, when you consider how big of a change it was fairly straightforward. But there's definitely some areas that were like, oh, really didn't foresee that being an issue, like the snow shaders, for instance. Or like having to recently rename all of our cells to no longer include underscores, which we used for organization pretty much throughout the lifetime of the project. And for anyone who wasn't here at the start of the stream and you see the cooldown reset message in the top left of the corner, or top left corner, that's just a custom enchant from, I think it's this weapon or maybe this armor.
It's the armor.
It's the armor. That's obviously the cooldown thing won't be part of the actual build, but is for internal debugging purposes. So as we move further in here, we start seeing some differences in the landscape. Just
It's good to vary up your dungeons.
exactly. Sometimes your
Just
dungeons
light them
on
all on fire.
exactly. Sometimes your dungeons on fire. It's
Sometimes you just need to, set your house on fire to spice things up.
exactly. Like when things get too boring, set it on fire. That definitely keeps things fresh.
Unless there's a reason for it.
Oh. like
Oh.
insurance fraud
Or monsters.
or monsters.
Speaking of, where monster?
Deer monster.
Oh,
I think he
all
was
right.
supposed to have a
Well-
little bit more of a effectual
Well-
fade in, but here he is now.
porting to special edition is easy. Just do it.
Exactly. Come here, you. So I think this actually is... I mentioned earlier, we're kind of in the middle of an enemy pass, just to improve some of the older enemies with more up-to-date models, textures, and that kind of thing. And I think this is actually one of the enemies that I have in my work in progress to give a visual overhaul to. I think the idea of a fire spriggan is actually very cool, and, well, I mean, it's quite hot, in fact, but it's a very neat idea. But this one is it's a little bit, well, you know, it's spriggany. I think using some of the assets that were created for literally fire spriggans in the second DLC, Dragonborn, is going to give us a lot more of a unique fate appearance, but additionally touching it up even further than that. So just kind of a preview of some of the
Yeah.
things that'll be upcoming.
That was the thing. Originally, we didn't allow ourselves to use things from the DLC because of technical constraints. And with Special Edition, that's eliminated. I do recall someone earlier asked, and I did not answer them, sorry. Are we going to integrate Creation Club Orcish armors into the mod? Are we?
I don't think we have any plans to do it officially, but I have no problem with doing fan patches in the future. Because I just don't want to have to worry about having to require players to own that Creation Club item.
Someone asked earlier too, like, have we tested this with other mods in mind, just to see if things work? And I guess to that is there is like a metric butt ton of mods out there, as everyone knows, and it's kind of, you know, it would be kind of like a, you know, fruitless endeavor to try to test them all out. So right now we're just really focusing on making sure it's compatible with vanilla and the DLC.
But to that
That
same
being said,
Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, you took it away.
Okay, I was gonna say, to that same point, we also have tested with most major vanilla mechanics. Like, we had a question earlier about, wow, this is very dark, about companions and whether they would work correctly like followers in the mod, and the answer is, you know, if it's a vanilla mechanic, it should work fine. I thought I had a torch, but I apparently don't. And I'd say we do use a limited selection of mods while doing testing, both for tool purposes and just to validate that everything works with like some very common frameworks. Like, for instance, you'll see I'm using Sky UI here. So we don't anticipate any major compatibility issues, just because a lot of our stuff doesn't really touch anything vanilla. So, you know, character overhauls, perk overhauls, armors, weapons, anything like that that just kind of exists independent of the world space isn't going to be any kind of an issue. The only areas I would be a little bit concerned about might be like maybe some follower responsiveness for like followers that use custom frameworks, or I couldn't exactly say how combat overhauls will fully jive with our balance, but that's kind of a risk you take with most new lands mods, I feel. So you could generally say, like, if this would work with a mod like Worm's Tooth or Vigilant, that it would probably work with our mod as well.
Back in my day, another thing we did to try and be as compatible as well is that a lot of our like new enemy types do inherit from ones back in Skyrim. So if you have a creature that's enhanced in Skyrim, 9 out of 10 times in Lordbound, it will still have those enhancements. Sometimes we had to make something from scratch because of limitations or because we need something specific, but most of them will transfer those loot tables, voice lines, or other changes you've made to them.
Yep, exactly. We've aimed for compatibility whenever possible. Obviously, when we implement like new enemy types and things like that, they'll have their own loot tables that they're working with, but I would say that probably makes more sense than having them inherit from, you know, a skeever loot table. So it seems like we still have a fair bit amount of time, so I'd like to take us through one of our larger dungeons. This has seen and is currently seeing some work in progress, but I am a big fan of a lot of its design, so just going to take us on a little mosey over to it. You see these areas here too. This is the outskirts of Highreach, and over there in the distance you can see Stonebark Brewery, which is a unique brewery that we have featured here in the valley. Nesh, do you want to give a little bit of a lore overview on Stonebark?
So yeah, sure. So in some cultures, alcohol is a yeah, so sorry, got distracted for a second. So no, in most cultures, we do find ourselves with all sorts of brewed goods being quite important to them. And in our valley, we have one brewery that has stayed open throughout all of its recent history, and that is the Stonebark Brewery. And there's a bit of a story going on with the Stonebark Brewery in the sense that its owning family, the present generation running the place, passed away quite recently, and their son, who was studying in Highreach to become a wizard, was suddenly charged with taking over the business. And not just in the sense of, congratulations, you've inherited it, but also, we need you to keep it running because it's the only place that reliably produces booze in this region. What happens if you combine a wizard who doesn't know any idea of how breweries work with a brewery that is responsible for the output of the entire valley? Probably some magical shenanigans. And so throughout the valley, you may encounter some of their newer products. For, I was going to say better or worse, probably better. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as custom weathers, actually, I think all of the weather systems, if I remember correctly, were designed specifically for Lordbound, for the Druadach Valley. In addition, there's some small upgrades we want to make, or additions rather, to potentially, and this is still kind of a nice to have, so it's more of a, well, we really want to include some more exotic weather types, just to kind of enhance some aspects of the lore, and explain some kind of oddities in the valley, but really it's also an excuse for me to get a little bit more fantastical with the weathers, because I'm a huge kind of high fantasy, things that are very pretty fan. So any opportunity I can take to get more things that make you go, ooh, I will gladly take them. But as
That is entirely within the lore of Lordbound.
Exactly.
You should do that if you have the time.
But as it is currently, you can, especially I would say in the swamp areas, see some of our really unique weathers. Because those are areas that we don't really have like an exact analog for in Skyrim. So when I would say our weather designers, I think it was just Ina, but I think when she really had like an opportunity to create something fully from scratch is where she really shined. So those swamp weathers for me are just like, perfect. I grew up in a swamp, so you know, it's very like home. Okay, I think we should be approaching Angavar.
We are indeed approaching Angavar. I built this bit of valley back in 2015. I remember the music I was listening to as I did so.
Dang, that's some old valley.
Yeah. Yeah, some of it worked out well, and it was just like, boom, it's done. And then other parts are like, we need to revisit this. What the fuck? What was he thinking? Sorry, language.
We're gonna run into some skeletons out here. Oh, I don't think I've ever come to Angavar this way. The route that leads you straight to the door. I think every time I've come here before, it's been through the other route, and I didn't know that I had a way of going about there. Learn something new every day. About the mod that you've been working on for 4 years.
Don't worry, when I was in charge, I would still run into things I'd never seen before, like full-on Gandalf meme, I have no memory of this place, and then people say, but, Nish, you built that corner of the world. What?
Exactly. Okay. So this is the exterior of Angavar, and you may be thinking, hey Kyria, that just looks like a Nordic ruin. What is a Nordic ruin doing here? Nesh, do you want to tell us why there's a Nordic ruin here?
Ancient Nords were in the valley.
Ding!
Oh, you want to have more of that? Okay. So, yes, part of the history that we've made for the valley is okay. Where does the ancient dragon cult stop? Do they stop right on the mountain range between Skyrim and this valley, or did they go further? We decided they went a little bit further, and so there's going to be a few ruins on the eastern side of the valley. And with that, they had themselves a little bit of secrecy away from the main cult, and they had a bit of plotting and devising of their own. It's about as far as I want to take that one. Leave something for you guys to figure out for yourselves.
Yeah, so Angavar here is also a story dungeon, so you would be seeing this as you play through the main story. So when we get to the end of it, we'll also see some of those little scenes play out. We'll probably focus a little bit more on the gameplay aspects because, like we've talked about a few times, don't want to spoil too much of the story for you. Just kind of want to give you a little teaser to see what to expect. Angavar, I'd say, at least from my experience, is probably one of our larger dungeons that Rockmod's designed. And it has some very cool puzzles that I hopefully will not embarrass myself on, because I definitely did the first time I cleared this place, just playing through it casually. So hopefully I will not do that live on stream, but if I do, just know that, when you guys play it, you don't have to feel bad either, because you won't have anyone watching you mess up.
Nice save.
And I think I also mentioned when I was clearing some of the previous dungeons, but these tend to have like a lot of corridors and additional wings that you can explore as well. I'm just trying to take a little bit more of a direct path to avoid spoiling anything for you, and also so that we can finish it up in a reasonable time frame, because this is quite a cinematic dungeon. So you can see we've moved from kind of a Nordic ruin tile set to really more of an overgrown ruin slash like cave tile set. And one thing that I just want to call out Rockmod is doing like amazingly well is combining multiple tile sets to create like really unique experiences for dungeons. I feel like going through Skyrim dungeons can, especially if you've played Skyrim, even modded, like as much as I have, you'll definitely be like, oh yeah, there's that tile set piece, there's this piece, oh yeah, here's that cave that loops back around again. Whereas, in my opinion, Rockmod does a fantastic job of kind of making these feel fresh, even without like creating brand new tile sets out of them, just by using them in like really interesting and unique ways.
That was also one of the objectives. So when Rockmod joined, he wanted to go into the games industry, and so me already being in the industry and wanting to like help him out on that stuff, it was like find ways to make that more interesting, like a portfolio piece where it's just you're using the same kit that Bethesda has proven that you can turn into a dungeon easily. Not that interesting, and he went to town on that directive, and that's how we got some of this beautiful stuff. Yeah.
That's actually really cool insight. Did not know that.
No.
Alright, so we have
Yeah,
killed
no,
the ghost.
he did make it into the industry. He's I think he's a lead in his own right now, and well earned. I am genuinely jealous of the things he makes.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know how common knowledge it is these days, but Lordbound was actually created as a project. Was it you and Arachnophobia?
Yeah, we want to have a nice portfolio piece to get into the games industry. How hard can it be, right?
Anyway, so
I am
11 years
I'm
later.
a lead in the games industry now. Yep. Bot is still in progress.
But at least Nesh's career isn't still in progress. Well, I mean, I guess technically it is, but you've achieved many things since then.
And I think on last count, we've had 36 people that joined Lordbound to join the games industry succeed in their objective. Not saying that was just Lordbound. Like, That was their hard work, the training they took beforehand. But yeah, it ended up in their portfolio. They got hired, coaching, teaching, all that beautiful stuff. I'm
Yeah,
very
so
proud of
you're,
what they've achieved.
You're looking to get into the games industry. We have a great Lordbound to being hired pipeline.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say for the people that have been waiting for so long for Lordbound to finish. Training people does take time, and sometimes I did get a little distracted with the training part. I put a lot of emphasis on that, and so that may have added a few months to the development time as we tried to prototype, experiment, stuff for their portfolios.
Yeah, and I think
Sorry.
I would assume a lot of that is also like working out the different processes from when you're running the kind of project that is fully volunteer operated. I mean, I know other teams like Beyond Skyrim and things like that have talked about this, but when you're working exclusively with volunteers, you really can't always timeline things out or schedule things the way you would expect to with like an actual, game project or something like that, because life can happen. Like, someone gets hired, they have to stop and start focusing on like
Oh yeah.
their career. All these things can happen. You can just lose interest and move on to something else. And they're really, unlike like an actual job, there isn't any.
It's your job. You got to pay rent. There's no
Exactly.
incentive for them to stick around. And this would always happen in a very good spirit. There'd always be this boat where people go, Nash, we need to talk. I'm like, it's about the new job, is this? Like, yeah, I don't think I could do both. I'm like, yep, that's fine though. You fucking made it. Good for you. And then yeah, we'd lose another wonderful member, because ultimately there's only so many hours in the week, and yeah.
So, you ever wonder why Lordbound takes so long? It's because people keep getting gosh darn jobs.
Sorry.
Yeah. That being said, sometimes people did manage to come back and just help out in small ways and great ways.
Yes, absolutely. I think overall our team has all been wonderful people to work with. They've done a lot for the mod, and obviously it wouldn't be anywhere near what it is today without them. Except for Arky, he didn't really do anything.
Oh my, who is Arky again?
I don't know, he's just like a guy who shows up and posts memes in our outpost.
Yeah, it's like a house cat, but he did quest design?
Oh,
Wrote
those
the
things that we
outline?
keep having to fix. Stupid
Wow.
dialogue.
I think he's getting bashed. He's getting a bad rep from this.
It's okay. He's earned it. He's done his best. So, once again, you can see these gorgeous scenic views that we see throughout the dungeons, and I hope I'm not uber lost, but I think I have a pretty good idea of the direction I'm going. This part of the dungeon always gets me tripped up a bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of iteration on this room. It used to be worse. I'm happy with where it is now. Like, if every dungeon points you in the right direction completely 100% of the time, like,
And this is why we recommend at least level 15. A few extra levels certainly wouldn't help. And also, I'm obviously being completely incautious as I come through here. Just role-playing the strong orc man that I am in real life.
so tempted to say Zug Zug, but
Glowduke. Blood and Thunder.
those were the days. That's actually worth pointing out. We know the difference between Warcraft orcs and Elder Scrolls orcs. None of that. None of that.
Hashtag not all greenskins. Okay, I think this moves us into the second wing of Angavar. Angavar is a 3-cell dungeon, so there are 3 wings or rooms. Cell would be the technical term we'd use internally in Skyrim. And so there are basically 3 major sections of the Angavar dungeon. This is the first puzzle, if I remember correctly, and I will absolutely die here at least once. So I think this kind of gives some of the solution.
We don't got time to read.
Yeah, I mean, reading on stream, oof. Alright. If I embarrass myself too hard, we always have God mode. There's also should be a dead apprentice. Oh, he's getting away. Bring my dead apprentice back. Okay. And I think one of the items on him gives us some hints as well. Okay, I don't want to give away the solution to this, mostly because I'm gonna forget it. But I believe that is the biggest clue towards solving this. Hey, does anyone happen to remember which animal represents shore?
Oof. It has been too
It's not
long.
bears. It's
Oh.
not bears.
Oh.
Alright, so not bears, not wolves. Is it? It's not snakes. Okay, it's owls.
Well. Look at the little quick saves.
Yep.
Oh. Nice.
Congrats, you
So,
survived. Died.
Yep.
So if you want to take your time and figure out the riddle, I don't remember if I solved it first time or if I died horribly.
I died horribly many times the first time I did this.
Arachnophobia, do you remember if I died first time? I'm gonna guess I died first time. I'm not very good at riddles.
I also might have totally misinterpreted the riddle and what the solution was. Just like I did there. I'm like a cat in one of those showers now. Please free me.
Rockmod is in chat, and he did just confirm that I died first time.
I think we are just about out of the woods there.
But you found new enemies, so you must be going forward.
Exactly. If something you find new enemies, you're generally doing the right thing. Okay, here we go. Whoop, whoop.
You just broke both your legs. Well
Yep,
done.
exactly. Maybe gave myself a concussion as well. Ooh, got some going on over here. Actually, I better open the door first. Oop. That wasn't a mistake. I seem to have awakened the building. Oh my gosh. It's just like real life, I can't stay on the platform.
Here at Lordbound, we only have the best gamers to go through our dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Professional.
Yeah.
Thoroughly tested on the lowest common denominator.
Oh no.
That was actually worth pointing out. Oh, did you step into a trap?
Yep. I think I aborted quickly enough to not get murdered.
It is worth pointing out for Lordbound, there is a bit of a balance to our dungeons. If it is part of the critical path, we go a little easier on you. There are some dungeons that you can choose to enter, but you're not required to. Where, yeah, sometimes we might throw something a little harder your way. And then there are some dungeons that we don't even tell you exist. We don't give them map markers. They're all for you to find and explore and do with as you darn well please. So that hopefully, yeah, you can have a bit more of a varied experience, and a bit more of an adventure to it all.
Whoosh.
Rugma just realized he forgot to put something behind every single waterfall. Therefore, he's a horrible level designer. I agree.
Yep.
The imposter syndrome is completely right. You're a phony. You've been discovered. Hand in your credentials and just quit, dude. Just quit. Ooh.
But who?
Trap, maybe?
Oh, no, a skeleton followed me in from the previous room. Rude. Okay, this is the final section of this dungeon, but that is far from being the end of it currently. So just taking a look. So this is the Athenium, which is a fancy word for basically a library or repository of knowledge, which we can see represented in here. And we are being approached by our resident lizard wizard, Fulazal. He's one of the Lordbound. I believe he's the Lordbound Master of Illusion. At some point we would get a quest to actually come in here and find him, but as you can see, Lordbound doesn't stop you from just finding him on your own. We'll have a few dialogue options, and since we didn't have the quest to go retrieve him, we can just tell him we happened to find him while exploring. He also has a scene with his apprentice when we first walk in here, but because I was dawdling around and getting tripped up by that skeleton, I think we might have missed their dialogue. So yeah, be glad to have your help, and because I've told him that I would like his help, him and his apprentice, I think his name is Morvin.
These are, by the way, fully properly voice acted already.
Yeah, you do actually run into some NPCs that we've already completed voice acting for. In particular, like, Rogvar always strikes me as being, like, really impressively voiced, so... And then, I mean, we see that throughout, like, Sideal has been voiced well. A lot of the Lordbound have, surprisingly. And those are actually already implemented. So this section, we can kind of walk through. This is the final section of the dungeon. We'll see here that we have 3 of these little, what's the word for the thing that holds fire? That's not women's lingerie.
Sigils, runes?
Brazier.
A brazier. Okay. Yeah.
Brazier.
And each of these have a rune within them. So, following that along, we will go down each path, and each of these has obviously some kind of elemental connotation.
The reason why we're going to do these is that the way forward is blocked. You saw that big glowy blue wall. It's a force field blocking our way forward. And so we surmise that, you know, these are some glowing passageways, so they must be the key to turning off the glowing barrier.
Right, sorry, yeah, that would probably be a bit clearer if I'd gone through Fulazal's dialogue, to basically ask why him and his apprentice are here. And additionally, I think that's also part of the journal from the dead apprentice that I pulled out of one of those traps. So once again, talking about custom enemies and working on those, these bosses here actually are getting a total overhaul to be unique mobs, not like basically Skyrim reskins, which is what we see right now. So going forward, these guys will be basically all new models near you. This dungeon does feature 3 of these elemental mini-bosses, and you have to kill all 3 of them to move forward, and it looks like the lizard wizard got himself locked out. Classic.
These guys aren't balanced very well right now, so we might just power word kill them.
Also, like, back in the day, we did not have that pipeline available to us, so hearing that you're planning to make some of these creatures look unique is kind of mind-blowing.
Right.
Something, right?
the other path takes us.
That's a great idea, buddy.
Is he dual wielding staves?
He is. He is a professional mage.
I seem to recall you could do that in the base game. It just looks so cool, and I've not seen it very often. Maybe I just forgot. Maybe I'm just getting
Yep,
old.
that's vanilla.
Alright, moving right along. We will head to the fire wing. And although these guys are pretty vanilla-ish, they are also actually custom and have their own custom AI packages. We probably just won't see that represented too well as I just kind of come in here and smash them with my two-handed sword. Alright, you guys. You gonna make it in the room this time? Classic Skyrim follower issues. We actually get these guys in. The balance isn't terribly bad. At least they're not as tanky as they are when it's just me by my little self.
Come on,
Yeah,
buddy.
you got it. You got it, buddy.
Well done, Spirit. Also, the whole history of this place I mentioned before, like them getting up to their own devices on this side of the border, it relates into this magic that we're seeing that we don't normally see in ancient Nord dungeons, where they're actually kind of allergic to the use of typical spells that aren't the voice. So, you know, we try to really make sure that if we do something unusual, it's not just for the sake of like, oh look, it's different, but actually instill it with part of the history. And you know, if you go through enough of the books, you listen enough to the characters, you might figure it out, or you come up with your own reasoning, of course. But we do our best to make sure that it's not just for the sake of being different.
I saw a question about why everything in this mod is on fire. It's mostly for insurance reasons, but there's probably other like lore reasons or something too. The more
Wasn't it
random
because
fires
people
you
keep
have.
complaining about like candles in ancient dungeons, or like, oh, they'll just set the entire place on fire?
Exactly. Problem solved. You got this.
See, traps are easy. Didn't even break a sweat.
They made it. I'm so proud. Oh hey, speaking of custom enemies, that guy's currently in testing. I thought I disabled that ESP, but you know what? Now you get a preview. And I get to spend 5 hours killing this guy because his health pool is massive. Speaking of tuning. You too. Please.
Yeah, you might need to.
Yeah, the new guy's down. He's good.
Not to mention, with the confusing way Skyrim health bars work, he's actually already a lot more dead than...
Yeah.
Whoever decides to mirror that health bar, it's confusing. Don't do that.
break the ice there.
Shut up.
Jesus Christ. Thank you, Arky.
Options are exhausted.
That wasn't Archie.
Let's
Might have
return
It
to
wasn't
the
Arky?
war.
I mean, he wrote it. That wasn't his voice acting. No.
No, I was referring to the Arky.
Okay.
Alright.
I'd say he's not an orc, so.
Head on back to the swirling barrier as instructed.
Question is, will the NPC get lost or make it on their own?
That is always the question.
Skyrim NPCs love to get lost. Oh my god.
They're making
but
it.
through very, very hard work leads to them sometimes working just fine.
I think I actually re-nav meshed this whole place by hand a few months ago because they really would get stuck sometimes.
Well, nice job.
Why, thank you. Alright, so now we have achieved the first little objective of this place. And we are welcomed into another arena. No.
More fire,
Aw.
because everyone loves fire.
That's what happens when you stop building with asbestos. Everything is so flammable. OSHA has been a blight upon the Nords. So now we kind of see the revision of those little spirit guys that we saw disappear a little bit ago. Now that we've freed their shards? Not quite sure how that ties in.
I believe those, those creatures that we defeated were are sending them. But I guess they didn't expect you to. Like, oh, thanks for bringing us, but don't go in there.
I mean,
You went in there. Okay, cool.
yep. No one can really expect the Skyrim exploration, I guess, player habits. It's not something you can design for, especially ancient peoples.
The person who killed this ancient creature will now continue to explore even against my warning? Who could have thought this?
The fools. Alright, we did it. That's everybody again. Okay, alright, let's go. Oh no. There's another boss! There's another boss. Oh, my move speed. Please, sir.
Did they curse you to be slower?
Yes!
Yeah.
Ice spells, man.
Not even once.
Flash lights warning.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Alright. With that, I believe we have cleared the dungeon entirely. So, I don't want to walk too much further since I don't want to spoil the end of the dungeon for everybody. And it is getting pretty close to the time we plan to end the stream. Were there any other questions or anything else that you guys wanted to see within the scope of things we were showing off today that I can show or we can answer for you?
Would you please make a save for future reference?
Absolutely.
Cool, thank you. Right. There's a slight delay between the stream and your chats, so there may be a moment of silence as we consider the creatures we ended tonight.
Moment of silence for all the undead.
First question: when is Lordbound coming out?
Our tentative, well, very planned for release date is March 2025, and obviously we'll keep everyone up to date as we get closer to development. Additionally, Mr. Cosmogon is putting out monthly dev diaries that you can find on our ModDB page and our Discord that'll give you both an idea of what else we have going on in the mod and keep you up to date on any updates or changes to our release schedule. Obviously, we're going to try very hard to meet our schedule, but we also want to deliver the most enjoyable quality mod possible. And kind of going back to some of the, volunteer comments, you can never fully plan for something without, I guess, a dedicated 100% guaranteed workforce on it. So, and if Raz gets hit by a bus, we're really screwed. So, hopefully that won't happen.
Yeah, Raz is no longer allowed to go outside unsupervised because of the buses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't go outside. I work on Lordbound.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is worth saying. Back when I was a lead, deadlines were unfortunately a lot more fluid than they are under Curious leadership. So, I'm not too worried. If delays, nothing massive. It is really coming together. It is really coming to that stage of, oh my god, is it there? We have a question about seeing the new orc armor.
Oh, great question.
There are 3 sets. I wonder which one they're referring to.
Oh, we all know which one it is. Alright, let's get out of here. Since the lighting in here is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And then...
While you prepare, so there are effectively 3 sets of orcish armor worth, discussing. There's the recolors of the base orcish armor that we mostly use for guards. I mentioned this before. It's rusted steel and orichalcum. Orichalcum is the base one, which is very high level, and then the other ones allow us to have orcish-looking orcs at lower level with lower stats. We have Highreach music is kicking in. Mm-hmm. We have a set of armor from an online resource that we'll be using for more town guard kind of stuff, less militaristic armors. And then there's the elite armor, which is the one we're guessing you wanted to see.
And Kai here in chat, I think, is the one who fully concepted and modeled this.
Yes,
Forgot the hat.
Kai Basque. There's 2 helmets. Which one?
Whichever one that gave me.
Okay.
Hey, perfect. It matches the armor that I chose. Just kidding. It matches nothing.
Oops. Yeah, so Kai made this armor over the course of months, I think. He and I are massive dorks when it comes to medieval armor, and we basically set the rule that this armor should be reproducible. If you think about how it works, all the buckling, all the openings, how do you get into it, how does it protect you, how flexible is it, how much does it follow actual historical trends? We thought about all these things, and this is what we ended up with. So, some of its features. I guess I can talk about the features if that's okay with you, Kira.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so amongst its features, for one, we want to have asymmetrical armor, so you've got a bigger shoulder piece on one than the other. The bigger one on the shield side being that you can have some kind of like closed formation with shields, whereas the other one is lighter, it's faster, it's also a bit pointier, so you could use it to bash someone in the head with. Like, every part we made to be quite aggressive. It's armor, that you fight with. The helmet, the spikes are all about bashing people's heads in. I think the big shoulder piece is the only part that's actually like not pointy to hurt people with, to maim people with. You can see underneath there's this scaled little robe-looking thing. So this was a take on like a scaled gambeson. Underneath armor, you need to wear a padded piece of protection because just because the armor makes a sharp sword not sharp anymore doesn't mean that it's not going to break your bones. So the gambeson is there to protect your bones from the actual bludgeoning impact of any attacks. And we went with the scale-looking solution because it fit more with the base Orcish armors. There's a blade deflector on the very chest piece. Now, normally in medieval armor, this is rather small. It's meant to help deflect a weapon. And here again, it's partially meant so you can use to bludgeon someone with your chest. It's partially so that bigger weapons will slide off or get stuck and you can use it to your advantage. The boots, the gloves, we basically looked at the base Orcish armors of Skyrim and went, okay, that's nice. What would you do with endless resources? How would this be iterated upon? So we have more components that, like a 15th century finely made gauntlet, can slide over each other for a lot of flexibility, but still offering a lot of protection. And then the helmets. I mean, let's face it, we all like, the stormtroopers of Star Wars or other closed helmet designs. And so we figured that, partially for intimidation factor and going kind of for like more of an Asian, Chinese, Japanese style of design, we decided to go with a mask like that. That being said, Elder Scrolls Orcs may have previously been based on Asian cultures. Since Elder Scrolls Online, they've been given a lot more of their own identity. But we still like the idea of like what the Japanese helmet affords you. So we went that route, and the bone mask allows us both to have like, a lot of these guys without it being too obvious that they will have a rather similar looking face, and also because it just looks so cool, man. And yeah, that makes the Orcish armor. Now the one you're wearing specifically has some blue colorations in the fabrics. Not sure what neck piece, what color neck piece you have.
This is
these...
red one because the blue one was not behaving.
Okay, so yeah, the colorization is important. It basically gives you the allegiance of that orc. Garshakur is not monoculture. There are several tribes who are collaborating in there, and so each tribe has their own colors on their elite armor. So you can almost like a Hogwarts robe. You can say, you're with those, you're with them, based on the color of the fabric pieces. I guess you're just 2 lines about what tribe you serve when you wear a red helmet with a blue body.
Yep.
But yeah, all credit where it's due to Kai for the design, concepting, making the meshes. Kyria, I believe you had a heavy hand in then actually making it into an animated mesh that the player can wear.
Yep.
I think there was quite a bit of support from Agility in there as well. Did I miss anyone?
No, I think that's everybody. It's certainly
Okay.
been
If
a
we
team
didn't,
effort.
yeah. If I missed anyone's name on there, sorry. You know I love your work. I mean, it makes me happy to see all this stuff again. Yeah. Other questions? Apparently buses are quite far away from Raz, so he's pretty safe. You still can't go outside, buddy.
All right, everybody.
And Kai's happy.
Yes.
Just saying, Kai's happy to see the armor working in the game. That took longer than it should have, but it's there.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to doing this again in a couple of months. As always, you know where to find us. Our Discord is available in the channel links. We are, as always, looking for more helpers to keep polishing things as we move closer to release. You've seen our lovely team here today and what our project looks like, so if you suddenly want to take up modding, come talk to me.
All right. Yeah, we're going to leave there. There's one unanswered question, but we'll leave that for another time on the new spells. We have halls covered with new spells. But that's for another time.
Yep, so many new spells. That'll be something we can show off either during the next stream, or maybe we can get into a dev diary in the meantime.
All right. Well, Kira, thank you for going through the world. Thank you for showing me all this stuff.